10 random magic cards, day number 102. There is now really nothing special about this number whatsoever. The next special one will come at episode 420, something like that. So let's get there, man. First card of the day is Sheltered Thicket. This ETB's tapped, produces green and red, is a mountain and forest, and cycles for 2 mana. And this is currently 52 cents from the Doctor Who set, but was originally printed in Amonkhet. I remember these, but for some reason didn't realize they were in Amonkhet. These are fine, but not great. It is good that they're fetchable with traditional fetch lands, you know. Although not like Evolving Wilds and stuff, just like the fetch lands. You can go grab these. And that's pretty sick. But they're not as good as a lot of other lands, right? Like I think we'd rather play the Surveil lands a lot of the time than these, you know. You'd probably rather do a lot of stuff, actually, than go grab this, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. God, that's tough. 5.4. 5.5. 5.5 on these. Cycling's very good. I really don't want to discount how good cycling can be on your dual land, you know, especially when it does have the proper types. That's good too. So yes to that. 5.4. 5.5. Natural Affinity is from Mercadian Masks, and it's next. I like this card. I tend to like garbage like this. This is 3 mana, 2 and a green for an instant. All lands become 2/2 creatures till EOT. They still count as lands. I miss the days when the Magic felt the need to tell us that. It's like, they're still lands. Okay. They're creatures and lands. Cards can be 2 things at the same time. So thanks, Magic. Appreciate that. But, yeah, these effects like never see play, even as the finishers they appear to be. But there was a Natural Affinity deck back in the day that was not super good. I'm not going to sit here and pretend this deck was great. But there is a reason that this card still commands over $1 in every single printing. It's because like it is somewhat commander playable. There are commander decks that want to use it. They get a bunch of lands out, or just land-centric decks, right? There are decks that can use Natural Affinity, and in the game, effectively, you're just not going to see it like too often. I'm going to give Affinity a 5. I'll just say straight up baseline 5. I think there's plenty of use cases for it. But even though it's only good in a certain number of decks, you'd be kind of surprised how many, you know, land-based decks in Commander can take advantage of an effect like this. But again, kind of one-time use. You probably won't end the entire game with this, but you could pretty easily end one player's game, I would say. So, you know, good card, but unless you can play it multiple times in a game, which is not unheard of, you can Eternal Witness it back or something, then it's just not as good as it should be. But it does have a place, albeit very small, in Magic history, and I want to respect it some for that. Just a decent card. It is. One of the better versions of this effect we've ever seen, especially given the instant speed. We'll move on to Confessor. Only ever printed in Odyssey, illustrated by John Avon. Normally he does lands. This is a single white mana for a 1/1 human cleric. And whenever a player discards a card from their hand, you may gain 1 life. So pretty unique ability here that you just don't see super often. Kind of interesting, honestly, in commander decks that want to gain life. Because this is going to proc on your opponent's turns a good bit of the time. But that said, it doesn't proc off of that much that I can think of off the top of my head in Commander. There's plenty of discard effects, right, that make you discard cards or whatever. It's also, by the way, whenever a player, so it's not just opponents, it's if you discard cards, you gain life. And you could probably leverage that somehow in your, you know, life gain deck, right? So I don't know. I just don't feel like this is an effect you see every day, and it's just on a random common for 15 cents. I'd like to kind of see, you know, the next couple of commander games I play over the next 6 months or whatever, the next 2 or 3 commander games I play in that time span. Kind of want to notice how often people are discarding cards, and then maybe think about adding this to something. I don't have it. I guess Ellis Core, but there's not a whole lot of life gain triggers. But yeah, I kind of like this. I do. But I'm still just going to give it a 3.9. I don't think that it's going to be great most of the time. But again, if you can control this ability and get like life gain triggers off of it, like, okay, you might be getting somewhere with it, you know? It's all right. Diamond City is up next from Fallout and only Fallout. This is a land, of course. Enters the battlefield with a shield counter on it and taps for a colorless. You can also tap it and remove a shield counter from it and move that counter onto a creature. Activate only if 2 or more creatures entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Okay, so you have to have dudes enter. You can't just use this ability or it would be like really, really good. 2 shield counters? Or it's only 1. Okay, I don't know why I thought it was 2. So, you know, land that comes with a shield counter. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not bad. I guess in Oops All Colorless, you just like definitely play this, right? But I don't know what else you play it in. The lowest price version of this is $1.91. So it's being bought, especially since a lot of the stuff from Fallout is like really, really cheap. So seeing a thing that's like $1 or more is not extremely rare from this set. The expensive cards are expensive, but there's not a whole lot of chase from this set. Not to say this is chase. It's just, it's a whole buck. A free shield counter, effectively free shield counter is pretty good. So I'm going to give this a 5. I'm just going to throw a 5 at it. I think that it's right at about where you want to be, like right at the average power level, which is relatively high compared to 10 years ago. You know, but I think it's all right. Move on to Chaotic Backlash, only ever printed in Eventide. Getting a lot of the only ever printed in one set cards today. 5 mana, 4 and a red for an instant that deals twice damage. Deals damage to target player equal to twice the number of white and or blue permanents he or she controls. Okay. So it only hits opponents. It costs 5 mana, and it's a color hoser. I don't love it. I don't love it. I played a lot during Eventide, and I feel like this happens a lot. I don't remember having ever seen this card. Maybe I didn't pay as much attention to Morning and Eventide as I thought I did. It might be the problem here. But I mostly cared about like creature type stuff in these sets, and this doesn't really deal with that. This card's bad. I would say this card's pretty bad. Unless your opponent has all the white permanents, which is not unheard of in Commander. But I still don't think it's worth slipping into your deck when you could play a different card. You only have, what, like 65 or less slots for real cards in your Commander deck. And this is probably not cutting the mustard or the mayonnaise, for that matter. So I would say that this is like a 2.7, you know? Like, maybe against a white mid-range deck? Sometimes, but even then, like, Tarmogoyf, baby, from Future Sight. I was wondering when we get to Goyf. This is 1 and a green for a Lurgoyf with */1+* power toughness. Those numbers are equal to the number of card types among all cards in graveyards. The toughness being equal to that number +1. So this is very, very historic, I guess, Magic card, you know? Like, this is not at all what it once was, and I think more than just about any other card in the modern format. Tarmogoyf really tells us the story of power creep over the last few years. And I say few years, probably over the last 7 to 9 years. Tarmogoyf has been quietly and at times loudly power crept out of the modern environment. It used to be one of the most feared creatures in the whole game. And now I would venture to say that Tarmogoyf sees extremely little play at present. And there's a reason for that. In some ways, Tarmogoyf has been passed in power level by cards like it. You know, I think that you could make a case that, you know, Cruel Somnophage and even Stick Fingers to an extent, you know, but Souls of the Lost and all that, these are in some ways better cards. And they only really count creatures. You know, this counts card types. So this could get to, you know, 5 power like really, really early way back in the day. And it still can. It still can. But again, it really goes to show you not only how good other creatures have gotten, but how good removal has gotten and how good just synergy, like overall strategies have gotten, how fast the modern format has gotten. That this is just not really a consideration anymore. And it's very sad. It's very sad. The card still commands like a fairly decent price tag, but I think that that is all reputation at this point. I don't know that Tarmogoyf is still the... I will say, you know, it pops up every now and again, but it's just not the card that it once was at all. And I don't think that there's much arguing that. So overall, though, I'm going to give Tarmogoyf a 6.5. And if I was rating it in the context of how good of a card it was in the pool of available Magic cards in Modern 10 years ago, then I think I would give it, you know, a whole extra point, 7.5 or something. But this card is really a victim of circumstance, a victim of power creep. And it's just sad, but I think Tarmogoyf still commands that 6.5. I think that it does. That's still a very good score, obviously. If you follow along, I don't give too many cards a 6.5. So I'm gonna lay it on Sweet Tea over Mr. T and drape him in a 6.5 that I'm not sure he even deserves anymore. But it is what it is, buddy. I've been waiting to get to you this whole time because I knew that you would be kind of a tough card to rate, but just for your place in Magic history, I think you deserve the 6.5. We'll move on to Air Elemental, originally printed in the old days. Way back in the days, ladies and gentlemen. It takes a while to get to the good art. Richard Thomas really was doing something with this art, man. This is 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue for a 4/4 elemental with flying. That's the entire card. It is a strictly, in most cases, worse Sarah Angel. But as we say, there is a saying. The card actually has a saying. Air Elementals win games of limited. It's something that we said forever. For literally 25 years. Air Elementals win games, and that just means 4 and 5 mana, 4/4 flyers. Large body flyers. Starting at 4 power will win games. So you got to give Air Elemental at least like some small place in Magic history for being part of that phrase, but obviously the card's not very good. I'm forced to give Air Elemental a 3.5. Because, you would think I might give this like a 2.9 or something, but no, again, flying 4/4s win games. So, and again, of limited is the rest of that, but still a flying 4/4, you'd be surprised how good that can be sometimes. This is still in my old school cube to this day. We'll move on to Red Mana Battery, originally printed in Legends. This is how you know you did not get a good uncommon from your Legends pack. This is an artifact that costs 4 mana. You can pay 2 and tap it to put a charge counter on it. You can tap it to remove any number of charge counters from it to add red, and then an additional red for each charge counter removed this way. So you'll always get a red mana from this, which is something that people don't talk about very often with these mana batteries, but these are 4 mana rocks. They always tap for at least 1 mana, but they can tap for more than that. Card is fairly bad. All the mana batteries are kind of bad. You know what I mean? They're not good. They are rares in 4th edition, so that's how you know you pulled like one of the worst rares in the set when you open up your 4th edition pack. Red Mana Battery is cute because you can like get a huge fireball off with it, but you're only ever putting 1 charge counter on at a turn. These are by and large worse than storage counter lands, which are already kind of iffy, but like okay. I have had mana batteries resolved against me in the past. I have especially had Black Mana Battery resolved against me a few times in the past, and then like Big Drain Life a few turns later or whatever. But these, I can't pretend that these are any good despite my history with them. I'm going to say that most mana batteries are probably 4s. Right out of 4. It's not completely useless or anything, but you won't, but nonetheless, you will not use it. So let's move on to Hollow One. You're supposed to be so good, man. Hollow One is 5 mana. It is pretty good. 5 mana for a 4/4 artifact creature. It's also a golem. Hollow One costs 2 less to cast for each card you've cycled or discarded this turn, and also has cycling 2. So just the fact that it's a threat that cycles is okay, just in and of itself. That's not bad. But if you cycle even a single card, you get a 3 mana 4/4. And obviously you discard like 2 cards, which is very easy to do. You play like Faithless Looting, right, in Modern or something. You've discarded 2 cards. So that means if you Faithless Looting on turn 2, you can cast Hollow One with your leftover mana. And that's just good, man. The card is pretty good and has popped up from time to time. I feel like we overhyped this in Standard when we first saw it, and it didn't do much in that format, but it has gone on to do a thing or two in Pioneer and even Modern from time to time, but it's just never been, like cock of the walk, like the big guy in any format. But the card is undeniably fine. It really is. So I'm going to give it a 5.1. Actually, we'll give it a 5.09. How about that? A whole 100th of a point less, but still, I think it matters. Yeah, this is good. I will always be mad that this never really saw play in Standard because it's playable. This is a playable Magic card. I promise you. We'll move on to Bloodscale Prowler from Guild Pact. And only Guild Pact. This is 3 mana, 2 and a red for a 3/1 Vishino Warrior. Now it's a Lizard Warrior. You're just going to pretend the Viashino were never a thing. This also has Bloodthirst 1. So if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this guy comes into play with a +1/+1 counter. So 3 mana 4/2s aren't good. Still not good. 3 mana 3/1 is particularly ungood. That should cost 2 mana. But 3 mana 4/2 does not make it that much better. It's just really bad. 1.7, something like that. Sure. Final card of the day, wow, is Vishr, the Doom Hiive. This is a good card, man. Cool card right here. 5 mana, 2 in Abzan colors. So 2 black, white, green for a 3/3 legendary Phyrexian insect with menace and toxic 1. When Vishr, the Doom Hiive, enters the battlefield, create 3 1/1 colorless Phyrexian might creature tokens with toxic 1. They cannot block. Vishr gets +1/+1 for each poison counter your opponents have. So you better have like 3 poison counters on them because you really don't want a 5 mana 3/3. You don't, but I guess you'll take a 5 mana 3/3 if it puts effectively 6 power and toughness onto the table. If it dies, you still get the mites. You know, like it's pretty sweet in terms of like toxic commanders. It also gives you 3 artifacts, so it's good for those decks as well. Just a cool little poison commander that is not amazing. I'm not going to say he's a great commander, but he's a cool commander for poison, and we don't have a lot of them. And this allows you to play all 3 colors that care about poison. That's important too. So I like the guy. I like unique commanders. I'm going to give him a 5.4, which is pretty high, but he's got a great ETB trigger. Just really, really fantastic ETB trigger. So good card to end the day on, I think, man. I don't have any history with him, but I kind of want to have some history with him. You know what I mean? I'll take him out, wine him and dine him, go back to the house, you know, have a nice evening together, whatever that entails. And then maybe stop playing him in Commander. This is one of those I want to build the deck, play like 2 games, and be like, okay, I'm going to put you in the box now. But he's still good. He's still cool. But anyway, that's all I got for today, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.